Okay, let's call the meeting to order.
One.
Publicly heard.
Ready, Sam?
Once again, we rise to decry the lack of consideration for the disabled in the newly recreated Woodstock Theater or Community Center, whatever it is. These last couple of weeks, my group that pays $50 for 2 hours to meet in the rear room of the community center have been good days where people, the able-bodied, have been coming and going. I, as a disabled person and as a renter, feel like a trapped animal in that back room because when everybody else can go outside and go down whatever that platform is in back of that room, I can't get close to the edge because unlike what I tried to bring out to Mr. McKenna and to Kathy Magarelli when we toured the community center, not one of my suggestions has been implemented, no matter how minimal it is, painting a stripe along the stairs, along the stage, or especially in the back where the entire 180 degrees of that back platform has not one handle for anybody disabled. And the TV station, if I feel that way with a bunch of drummers in the back room, I'm going to feel more isolated in the TV station. Some people in the TV station right now who don't know me say, oh, well, Randy wants to have total control over the TV station. Far from the truth. If that was the truth, I wouldn't let the disabled ramp in the maze that it is, the one ramp in the community center, stop me. But I'm not going to set a foot in there in the TV station because I'd have to even go further to go out the complete opposite side of the building. And what if there's a fire? I'm not exactly the fastest moving person in the world. I may talk fast, but I can't walk fast anymore. I'd have to walk into a fire situation in order to get out of that building. Again, and Jay, you once volunteered to me in front of the Catskill Mountain Pizza Company last summer that maybe I was right about the necessity for a ramp for the TV station. Jay, why haven't you spoken up about that? Why was it just to me you said that? And what is finally I see as a town agenda tonight?
Time.
Yeah, I know. There's a thing about a lot of money to the community center. How about spending a minimal amount of money to make the disabled not feel so unwelcome in that place?
Thank you.
John Ludwig.
Sorry. Good evening. I want to announce that it's confirmed that Robert F. Freeman is coming on March 9th to speak at the Community Center. I want to thank the town board for offering the space. And for those who don't know, Robert F. Freeman is the executive director of the Committee on Open Government, part of the Department of State in Albany. To many people, he's our champion of open government, advocating for open government, giving opinions on open government. And so I want to invite everyone to come on March 9th to the Community Center and meet Robert Freeman, ask questions, and I gave you one.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
And hope to see you all there.
Yeah, I've actually spoken to this guy.
Thank you, Phil.
I think
Jake.
everybody in Woodstock has spoken about it.
Jack.
Jay.
No.
I'm sorry, Michael.
Yep.
Yep.
I want to talk briefly about trees tonight. I want to start by thanking the town board for budgeting money for trees this year, taking down dead ash trees, and there's even money in there for hopefully planting new trees. Maybe at some point in the conversation, I'm just curious how far along the highway department is in their project.
I couldn't tell you exactly, but they've gotten a lot accomplished. There's enough plowing, obviously.
Yeah, and I've seen them working on some of those streets. And
You know, I'll try and have an answer next Tuesday because I know that Mike and Kevin were out, I want to say Friday or Thursday of last week, tallying up the number of trees they'd actually taken down.
I've been asked to pass on a message from some friends in the community that would be very helpful that if this wood, this dead ash they're cutting down, can be given away as firewood, that there be some instructions as to where to go to pick it up, or is it going to be cut up into firewood size, or somebody got to bring a chainsaw, you know. I think there are people that could benefit from the wood, and it looks like we're going to have a lot of it, so the more the merrier. A brief update from the committee, the tree committee. We are on the verge of applying for a Tree City designation. We meet all the criteria with the exception of one last piece in the criteria, and that involves a slight change to the tree law, which we will give you tonight to take home and, peruse, digest. The grant that we anticipated applying for in the past year was never announced in 2015. I'm still being told that we will get a grant announcement in 2016, and this is the money that would be used to start the tree inventory. Okay, the last bit.
You know what, just in the future, because this is a committee report, we should put this on the committee report. Go ahead.
See, where was it again?
That's my favorite.
Yeah, he's our liaison.
You should have known that.
Bad board.
Um, I've lost my train of thought. Now, let's see, where we're, oh yeah, the application for the grant will be advantageous to the town if we are already a member of Tree City. And this is sponsored by National Arbor Day, and so it's all of a piece. It feels like we're getting there in the right direction. There is a little unfinished business in town, with, in particular, a stump that we want to throw on the table. And this is a stump that is still sitting in front of Pleasures downtown. The committee met today. We met last week, we met again this week, and we are prepared to bring in recommendations for a tree to replant in that spot. We've learned that the stump, after being removed, actually has to be, there are a number of issues with this, swapping out for a new tree. First of all, there may be things under the sidewalk, pipes or sewer lines or whatever, that need to be determined. And that it is highly recommended that structural soil be used, which is a special kind of soil, before the new tree is planted. And this apparently gives the new tree the best advantage of surviving. We're looking at trees that are not going to grow too tall because we've got wires up above, and but basically we're still at that point where I think we're looking for an enforcement action of some sort from the town board tonight. Maybe you can pick up on it. And Jay has all the paperwork. I will.
So Michael, I had a couple questions. I had 2 copies of this at my seat. Are they the same?
One's the existing and one's the...
Yeah, one's the existing and one's the new.
Okay.
The new one has the lines under the language that
I see.
it's going to change. And it's really minimal. This is the kind of thing that Tree City is looking for from the community, and communities all over the country are members of Tree City, and basically what it says is that the town is going to maintain their own street trees, and there are going to be certain rules involved with street trees that are not owned by the town, but are owned by private.
Okay. Is the Tree City thing pretty, if we do these things and pass these changes, is it kind of a done deal for Tree City, or do you still have to jump through some?
I think we have everything we need to make the application. They give you a list of criteria that you have to meet, and I think we've met it all. We've got money in the budget for trees, we've got a tree committee in place, we've got the authority here in the town board over the trees, and a tree law. And the only other item that they require is that we have an Arbor Day proclamation, which we did have last year, we will have this year, and hopefully this year we'll have some trees to plant. So, spring is coming, and that's why I guess I'm here tonight, is that we want to start to think about, spring is a perfect time to put a new tree in the ground, and I can't think of a better place to put it than in front of pleasures.
Well, thank you for the work you're doing.
All right,
And I think it's-
my pleasure, I'm enjoying it.
Now, this, in addition, the town board will establish a maintenance program for trees on all town-owned properties. Now, are you referring to all town-owned properties regulated under this law? Because this law just regulates trees along the main drags.
Yes, it's
So it's
just,
not up here.
no, it's just under this law, and it's,
You might want to just
we,
specify that.
we would like the town to consider branching out. I mean, right now, it's 375 from the town border, Flockman Lane to Bearsville on 212. We're looking for the town to maybe consider going up Rock City to the cemetery, you know, some of the other side streets in the hamlet. That would be another discussion we could have, but we're basically looking at street trees. And I think the ultimate goal of the committee is to maintain the existing street trees that we have, to take out the dead ones that are there and posing a danger, but also to look forward to a plan to actually expand the number of shade trees that we have in town with planting. We're going to be consulting with the Cornell Cooperative Extension. They have an expert down there, her name is Donna Crawford. She's offered to come up and meet with our committee, and between her and the George Propus at the DEC, who's the urban forester, I think we could come up with a pretty interesting proposal for the town in terms of planting new trees. Okay.
So I'm just curious, if you don't mind,
I don't-
this language, further the property owner shall be responsible for providing sufficient water, et cetera, et cetera. So where does this language come from? Was this recommended language?
This language was taken from tree laws that we gathered up from other communities, including Saratoga, Franklin Township in New Jersey. I think we even looked at Rhinebeck. So we borrowed language.
Well, I'm just curious, because, I mean, I know that we've lost trees over the years, but because of thirst. And the reason why I ask is because, you know, I mean, I think people who own property with trees on it are going to be acutely concerned about, you know, because water's not cheap in the hamlet.
Well, we're talking street trees now. We're not talking.
Yeah, I know, but still.
Somebody has to
But
water
still,
them.
if they feel that they're going to be compelled to go out and water this.
I think it's more like you're not going to do anything that's going to obstruct rainwater from getting into the tree. Paving up close to the roots and, you know, that sort of a thing.
Because I think the water table is fairly high.
The water table is high in the hamlet,
Mhm.
and we learned that from George Propus. He said that if the water table were not high, that the sidewalk would be heating all over the place.
And then the other language I've asked you to look at, in addition to property owners must remove the stump of and replace any tree removed by permit with a tree approved by the town board. Now, what that's telling me is that someone who removes a tree without a permit doesn't have to replace it.
Well, no, they're going to be fined under the existing law. They'll be fined.
If you go to
Well,
the,
we can tweak this language, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well, I think-
We're only just dropping it on you tonight. There's no rush, but you know, it's
if you
February.
look at the
Be ready to
penalties, it
discuss
talks
it
about.
next week, right?
Next week, next week would be a good time to discuss it. And I just wanted to briefly say, to ask if any of you have seen the commercial on TV for Subaru.
Hugging the tree in Woodstock.
Hugging the tree as they're driving out and the sign
I'd love
says,
to know.
leaving Woodstock, New York.
I'd love to know where that was. In Woodstock.
That was in California
Yeah, it's
somewhere.
California.
And I just,
Is it?
I thought it was funny that they sort of borrowed our,
Actually, when I first saw that,
It's not Beth Al.
no, no.
I wanted Jeremy to talk to our attorney about suing them for infringement.
Yeah, well,
Oh, no, that would already be considered by another private entrepreneur.
I think the sign said, please come again. You may want to ask them to remove that from the now leaving.
So Michael, can we make changes to this though? Or is we just-
Yeah, no, it's,
Yeah.
we're presenting it to the town board. You guys have the authority. We're merely advisory committee, so, you know, so it's your call, but we would like some input on your changes.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay.
And
Mr.
Bill,
Cone.
you know, given the investment of the European ash borer, think the use of the word digest is not very good.
All right. We'll review the law,
Yeah,
the proposed law. We won't digest it.
right.
Yes, sir.
So, I'm here thinking Michael will only have 2 minutes, so we can just hang out for 2 minutes if you like.
You have nothing to talk about?
No. The point is, I do want to, first of all, we should acknowledge Ed Sanders for updating the law. Secondly, I want to talk about that stump for a moment. Oh, well, first the law itself. Please review it, change it as you like, but make sure it's reasonable enough for you guys to execute it. Because the current law is not being executed. And for instance, it's very interesting, Jeremy, because we had a meeting today, and you actually picked out the 2 things that I questioned on this law. One is the watering and the sunshine.
Great minds think alike.
Let's not. No, but the whole point is, have the flexibility to change it that's reasonable. For instance, I don't think we should personally, even though I was voted down, I don't think that residents should be obligated under the law to water and make sure their plants have sunshine. And you raised the other thing about, you raised another point, and I question that point as well. I can't remember which one you raised. But
Having to replace a tree that's removed by permit.
well,
Does that mean
permanent, no permit, exactly right. There's a permanent and no permit, and I spoke about that, and they convinced me it's all in the law. But this thing with the stump, that where the law is not being executed. First of all, town board member Jay went into pleasure several times over several years, so they were made aware of that issue. Secondly, if you on that stretch of land from Joshua's, there's only really 3 trees on that side, 3 trees from Joshua's to Gene Termo's. There's one big tree from Joshua's that you know, which they put Christmas lights. Then you've got the stump, and then you got one in front of that general store that sell outside clothes. So that one stump is not only a tree; it is the most significant tree on that strip. I mean, 1/3 of the trees, again, between Joshua's and Gene Termo, which is 4/5 of that Tinker Street, 1/3 of the trees are effectively gone. 1/3 of the shade is effectively gone. So, I would look at this as a priority tree to enforce. The other thing, thank you for the funding, because the funding was the first step, as Michael summarized. Funding was first for the Tree City. Tree City, you could get the grants would get the inventory, and then it's sort of this domino effect, in which from the inventory we'll get the sick trees, we'll get the trees that need to be pruned, trees that need to be topped, and the floodgates will open. So thank you for that first step. Second step is, of course, agreeing with the law. That will give us the criteria to get to Tree City. Other than that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Jay.
You can tell that I said thanks.
Good to see you.
Yes.
How's it going? How's it quiet up there on the hill?
Is that it?
That's it.
And can we ask questions about the tree law?
Yes, you can.
Has that consideration been made about, like, where trees are being planted with regard to overhead power lines and whether they're going to be butchered like 10, 20 years down the line by the subcontractors for power?
The issue is to pick trees that will genetically not grow very tall if they're going to be planted under a power line. You still get the same benefits of the shade and so forth, and the ambiance, whatever. But we don't want to put trees into a spot where they're just going to end up being all hacked to death, you know.
Some of them they're like this.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's terrible what's happening with the lines. But there are a lot of choices, and we don't have them here tonight, but we're going to bring them in. So.
Okay, are there places where trees would not be shedding on, and this will be my last question, on, let's say, parked cars or people, where it might be feasible to, because I don't know which town properties covered exactly, to plant fruit and nut trees? possibly as a food source either for wildlife or even for people if needed.
We have to look at that to see where that would make sense to have those kinds of trees. Because obviously, we don't want to create a mess downtown on people's
Right.
cars and stuff.
Well,
Even
we're
up
going
in Gulf
to
Walkers, right?
submit a list of potential trees to work with in terms of the species of tree, the size, and so forth. You know, we don't want to, put in little things like that or like that, something. But that'll come shortly.
I am reminded of how the entertainer Uncle Dave Macon used to open his shows. He would say, "Ladies and gentlemen, when our forefathers came to this land, it was full of nuts and berries. And I'm here to tell you that the berries are almost gone."
That's funny.
Michael and Jay, if I can just mention one thing, only because of, with berries and fruit trees, I wouldn't recommend them someplace where people congregate or anything else like that, because they do have a tendency to bring bees. I'm absolutely petrified of bees, but not only that, people are highly allergic to bees. So, I mean, certainly places up here, it's beautiful, like that apple tree down here is absolutely gorgeous. But any place like around the village and that, where you get a lot of people, you get somebody that upsets the tree and the bees are...
Yeah.
There's a lot of progress been made on bringing back the American chestnut. And I think that would be a tree worth looking at for some spots in town, just because it's a great tree. And if we can do our part to bring back the American chestnut, I think it would be good vibrations here for the town.
Yeah, but I agree that if you're in the middle, if people are going to be parking their cars, you shouldn't have something over top of it that's going to drop.
Of course not. No, of
Right.
course not.
Yeah.
We actually have a list of trees we've reviewed today, and we're very sensitive with all these comments. The diameter of the tree, the diameter of the ball of the tree, if the wet foot and this dry foot, is there anything under the surface before we plant the tree? So we are going to have somebody come. Who is this person?
Donna Crawford or
Donna
George Crawford.
Yeah, I think
Bring them both.
Jim Hansen knows someone they're going to bring just to give us some options, and then we'll bring the options for the town.
Okay. Should we do some business?
Thank you.
Announcements, Jay, I'm sorry, announcements.
A couple of things. First, at the last meeting, we had an exchange about the sheriff coming into Woodstock and the possible use of drones. And I've found out very easily that the sheriff's jurisdiction covers the whole county. And I found out from our chief that sometimes the sheriff's office will inform the local police before they come here, but not all the time. And so that's the answer to the point that you raised. I'd like to say about what you said tonight about the ramp. I still favor a ramp out there. I did bring it up, not at a public meeting, but I brought it up with board members, and I think that a ramp could come out and go towards the rear, against the side of the building. There are pipes and things that you have to get at in other locations, but I still favor that. And I would like to see a ramp on that side of the building put up.
Can I make one additional point on that as an alternative? One of the women who works at the TV station has already fallen and hurt herself on those steps. Fortunately, she was not permanently injured. But those steps on that side, as are most of the steps that are designed in the community center, are double wide steps. You could take the steps that are there now, cut them in half, have the half on the, as you face the building, have the half on the right-hand side be a ramp that would come down at an angle in front and just go that way, and you would still be able to have a banister in the middle. There would be ADA 32-inch width on that side if it held out that way, and you would create a safer situation for people on the steps of the building, because within arm's reach they would be able to grab both banisters. I don't know what this construction fad is with these wide steps without any banisters, but that was one of the reasons why the library annex proposal was found to be deficient with the ADA, because it had these wide steps. Why is it not okay for a library annex, but it's perfectly fine for that kind of faulty design as far as the disabled are concerned with the communities?
I don't know.
I think it should be looked into, because it is another alternative. What you propose would be absolutely acceptable. I'm not very particular about what the exact design is. I could propose, and you could propose, various alternatives. There are various alternatives. Well, why, after the community center has been open now for what, 5 months? As I said, I'm still feeling like a trapped, insulted animal in the back of that room when everybody else can go out on that back deck. And no matter what, you need to have a banister someplace on that back deck. Somebody's going to get hurt. I'm saying this now in a public meeting.
So,
and when they do, I will be their angel.
We hear. You gonna make a sketch of this? You
Sure.
gonna go over there and make, okay, so
Sure.
sure. We'll take it from there.
Good, thanks for the thing. The main thing I wanted to mention is to follow up on the 2 members of the tree committee. We have a law about trees that's already in effect for quite a while. Let me say first, I feel a certain amount of historical strength about this. A bunch of years ago, most, if not all, of the trees in the very center of town were ringed with iron or steel grills of some sort. And they were, I noticed, choking several of the trees. And I found out from town offices that the highway department was in charge of that. After a lot of nagging and asking, eventually those grills were removed. It's true, over a period of years, I went into the shop where the tree, it was a sycamore, I believe, was choked to death. It's something that I noticed, I think a lot of people must have noticed. I never found out who owned that shop. I still don't know. I only spoke to the young woman that was working there. And I was told that she would get in touch with the owner. I don't know whether that ever happened, but eventually the tree had to be taken down because it was dead. It was choked to death. A slow, agonizing death, I should say. And in any event, the tree is gone, but I insist that the board follow up and require that that stump be removed, that the earth below the stump or around the stump be investigated for the presence of electrical wiring or pipes or sewer or God knows what, and that a new tree be planted there. That's required in our law at present. We don't have.
It's not. Not required.
Can I ask a question regarding that law? If I had a piece of property where a tree was, and the tree needed to be replaced, do I have any ability to decide what type of tree is planted there, or does the town decide what tree is planted there?
Well, the way the law is written, 217(4), number 4, it's when they come to an application for a permit to cut down the tree, the manner in which it is proposed that said tree to be cut down or removed, and the precautionary measures that, the next one, whether the applicant proposes to replace said tree. And if so, a description of the tree, including its size, which is proposed as a replacement, as well as the time and when place such replacement will be made. There's nothing in here that requires them to replace it.
Is there a fine, potential fine in there?
There's a fine.
There's a fine
If
for
they
violating
remove
the
the
law,
tree.
but not for not, there's nothing in this law that requires anyone to replace a tree. I'm
Well,
missing
that's
something.
not the way I read it.
So why don't you tell me what you're reading? Where does it say they're required to replace the tree?
All located within 20 feet shall be cut down, destroyed, or removed, whether the owner, tenant,
Yeah, it's in the words they want to add, Jay.
So it talks about, you dare not take down a tree,
Where are we at?
217.3.
Yeah.
And,
It doesn't say you have to replace it, I think is the thing.
well,
Yeah, says you have to come to the town and
you're
get
right.
permission.
Those words aren't there, but it seems to me, with my chutzpah, that to say that you can't take down a tree and to not say anything about replacing it, it's implicit to me that,
Did they propose it?
That's the new words.
yeah,
It's in the new words.
yeah.
It's in the new ones, right, but it's not in the
That's-
existing.
No, I was looking at the old law,
Right,
the present law.
yeah.
You know, it seems to me, as I say, implicit.
Mhm.
You take down a tree in that particular area, so why not take them all down? You know, and why not take a couple more down, or, you know, whatever, you take down the tree and you replace it.
Yeah, listen, I agree with the spirit of that. All I'm saying is, when we talk about enforcement, we can't force them to replace that tree. There's nothing in here that
We
gives
have
us
the
the power.
police department.
The only thing we could do is fine them
Fine them for what?
For taking it down,
for
but
taking it down.
without
They get a permit.
permission.
It was a dangerous tree. It was
So
dead.
they get the permit is what I'm asking.
It was a tree that was dead because it was
Yeah, I
strangled.
understand.
But did they get the permit? So technically, they're in violation of the law.
Yeah.
A long time ago, I don't think
Yeah,
any
long
judge
time.
is gonna
But,
listen to it now.
so the point is
I don't
whether
Judges
the
don't listen to
law,
Then either.
whether the
Waivers, in
old law.
circumstances where the condition of a tree poses an immediate danger to the property of the public, or in those instances where the superintendent, highways, building inspector, or certified or other determines in writing that the tree is dead or dying and will pose a danger,
Yeah,
The provisions of this chapter are waived for the property owner,
They don't
so there's
have to
nothing to
do
fine them for either. If the tree was dead, we all agreed it was dead and limbs were falling from it.
So then.
So all I'm saying is that, you know, what I will do, if this will satisfy everybody, is I will beg, plead, wheedle, and cajole the property owner, once we identify them, to see if they would consider removing that stump and planting a new tree. But there's no cudgel that we have here.
That's the best you're gonna do.
I know this is gonna go to public hearing, there'll be a lot of say about it, but to me, to make somebody decide, if the town board decides what tree they wanna plant, and how big it has to be, because they don't want little ones planted, they want big ones. I mean, you're talking a lot of money that you're gonna ask somebody to do. I mean, a tree can cost thousands of dollars to be planted in a village.
mhm. Oh, I don't know, I shouldn't say, I don't know, you know.
I mean, you
A
got
tree,
flashers there.
4 or 5 inch
Yeah,
thing, and
I don't know if the town can force them to replace it, though. I don't know what kind of language you would use and who would uphold that. I don't even know how a person would know that when they bought the property, that they're
Well, it's a simple
responsible.
question for the association.
Right.
They can
Yeah.
tell us whether.
That's what I'm saying, there's a,
I mean, it is my understanding, it's based on a very vague memory, that we could regulate and force, you know, them to replace. We don't have it here, but,
We have another extremely dangerous tree down at the bottom of the hill there, in front of the, I don't want to call it a church, the
reading room.
Christian
the
Science?
reading room, right.
Mm-hmm.
There's a tree right there.
That one?
Yeah, that's split in two parts. One is going straight up. Where the split is, you can look right through it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is a split.
Mm-hmm.
And this, the bigger, heavier branch, which is lying on top of wiring,
Mm-hmm.
which could come down in an ice storm easily. And
Well, I'll call the utility. See if they can take that down.
I spoken to the utility. I asked the chief to call the highway department, the state,
Mm-hmm.
figuring that he would have a lot of muscle, but they ignored that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so getting back to the proposed law for a second, so what are our next steps? Because I would recommend.
Go home and read it. And
Right, because I would recommend some wording changes, so we're gonna have it on the agenda for a future meeting. You know, sometimes we do things through email, sometimes we do it through, so we should bring our proposal for change to a future
Yes.
meeting.
Yeah.
Well, listen, share them as you go along, you know.
Well, what-
It's all public stuff. I mean, but, you know, listen, we don't want to make the sausage here at the table.
Right.
Let's, you know, bring the product to the table and get people's comment from it.
Right.
But I don't want to sit here making a law at the table.
Okay.
And that's, I think, a clumsy way of saying it.
You're right, and we started that process.
Yes, we started the process, right.
Tell us about your comprehensive plan.
Oh, well, it's sort of later, okay. Well, so, you know, I've been
I just see it as a topic, that's what.
Yeah, and it also a resolution.
Yes.
So what I want to do, as I mentioned for the previous several months, is lay the groundwork for the town board to hire a consultant and formally appoint a comprehensive plan committee. Before that time, however, I feel that we can save the town money by going out and acquiring the data that we have presently. So this is just going to be a little subcommittee of the supervisor, which, however, will be subject to open meetings laws. That is to say, whenever we meet, it will be announced in advance, and the public will be invited, et cetera, et cetera. But the purpose of it, I'll leave the mission statement. The purpose of the Comprehensive Plan Data Committee is, one, to assist the supervisor in conducting a data and information-driven discussion with the community, to help distill a vision of what Woodstock should look like 10 years in the future, and two, to submit a report that will be useful in helping the town board to select a consultant in fiscal year 2017 to assist with forming and adopting a comprehensive plan. The committee structure shall be informal, meaning that membership may change as specific tasks are accomplished. The committee, informal or not, shall operate under the provisions of the open meetings law. Every member of the town board is invited to participate. The committee membership prerequisites, at a minimum, read the Brown and Anthony 1962 report, the 2003 Saratoga report, the 2016 inventory, and at least 2 comprehensive plans recently produced by the Ulster County Townships. And I'm recommending, since they're the most recent, Saugerties and the Warsaw, which are both available on the county website. Members of the community willing to assist me in this initial stage are Councilwoman Laura Rigby, Donnie Allen, Susan Goldman, Ken Panza, Iris York, and Richard Heppner. And our process would be the committee with public input to assemble data and identify outstanding questions, issues, and/or the necessity to update in the following areas: vicinity studies, historical background, topography, soils, environmental features, land use, existing land use patterns, housing, hospitality/facilities, transportation and circulation, utilities, public and municipal structure, demographic and economic trends, schools, recreation, local and regional, community activities and facilities, religious institutions, cultural resources, local and regional, retail and service facilities, economic sustainability, and town government as it relates to structure, committee structures, etc. So then 2, schedule meetings with the public is encouraged to discuss specific topics and submit their thoughts, ideas, opinions, and/or questions in writing, preferably in electronic format, so that we won't spend the rest of our life typing. Maintain a web presence, so all these proceedings and all this data that we gather as we move along, we would put up on the town's website. investigate grant opportunities to finance the cost of preparing a comprehensive plan. And I received from the county information, there are like several sources where we can get like perhaps small little pots of money directed towards specific tasks. But I'll know more about that as I investigate it more. And then by no later September 1, 2016, provide a report to be used by the town board as a basis for selecting a consultant to help the town prepare a formal comprehensive plan update. At this point, the committee's work will be complete. The town board may then wish to consider appointing a comprehensive plan committee through its normal procedures. So that's it. It's just a little committee that I'm putting together. And these are the people who have volunteered to help. And again, we are not writing the comprehensive plan. What we're going to do is we're going to update as much data as we possibly can relating to all those topics that are identified, which are topics that you find in just about every comprehensive plan from any town.
Question?
Yes.
When will you have those documents available in hard copies so we can read them?
I have them available.
What?
I have them available. Come
So
by
I
and make
can
your
come
copy.
and
Well, I
get...
don't have them here, but come by tomorrow and I'll give you copies.
Okay, so maybe I'll stop up on Thursday.
Yes. Now.
At your office, or I'll pick it up at Jackie?
No, I'll have it. You know, listen, we talk about trees. This is Save a Tree. Can you read things online, or would you rather it in hard copy? Okay.
No, just sit down and read
There
it.
goes the tree.
I mean, those things are
All right.
big.
Come on, Wilbur. You like paper too.
Timber!
You like paper too.
Oh, look at his office.
I mean, I've read the Saratoga plan many times, but that was a while ago.
Uh-huh.
So, and I had somebody else's.
I might have some copies of them too, so
Oh, yeah?
we'll look
Oh, okay.
tomorrow
Oh,
for
good.
those, because I might
Well, that'd
have
be
some
nice.
extras of those, so that nobody has to make them.
or hardwood?
Hmm?
Pulp or hardwood?
Hardwood.
I think that's a nice start, Jeremy.
So that's
That's
it.
great.
And again, everybody, all the names that I've mentioned have all indicated their willingness to help. Let me express my thank you for that.
I think it's a good idea to do the committee.
Yeah, just get data together, just do a lot of the footwork. And then, you know, we just hand this stuff to the consultant, and then he can advise the town on how to proceed with it.
But also the sunset date,
Yeah, oh yeah.
September.
Well, I learned that in theater. You know the first thing you do when you put up a show? You schedule opening night. Because otherwise you'll be rehearsing
Oh, yeah,
from now to
forever.
the end of time.
Right.
You know, so yeah, you always got to put an opening date. We open on,
Can I just make one other recommendation? I know
Yeah.
from the last comprehensive committee
Mhm.
and the plans, you have to have somebody that does minutes for these meetings.
Are you volunteering?
No. But we have that machine that does the CD,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
that's the best thing. I mean, unless if somebody wants to listen to it, but at least you would have a recording of the meeting, so that if anybody wanted it. No, I won't.
So this
That's a good idea.
machine, you mean just automatically puts it on the CD? What is this machine? Or is it a tape recorder?
Well,
Yeah,
you know,
it's like a
CD
fancy
recorder.
tape recorder.
Fancy tape, and it actually just puts it...
You put it into the computer and it plays the meeting, voice-wise. And
Oh, and
somebody
then you
wants to
can put it
listen.
on the CD?
No, it's already on a
Oh,
CD.
it's on already.
Mhm.
Plays onto a CD.
Well, anyway, yes, minutes. We should keep
Of
minutes.
some
Yeah.
sort, so that if anybody wants to know.
Yeah.
But I mean, and you don't have to transcribe them.
Right.
I mean, that's how we have them. And basically, for Foyle, for Bob Freeman, wherever he is how we have them, is how we have them. And if somebody wants to make a copy of it, they can make a copy of it.
So is this a machine you say that we already have?
Yes.
So
The
you're saying,
the other committees use them.
Mhm.
okay,
So
so
the planning board uses it, the zoning board uses it, the WEC does their own minutes, but those are long meetings and they're technical, so you need to have a disc, and then they get transcribed some, you know, we do the zoning board.
are you going to show us how to use it on the first meeting perhaps?
If I can't, but either Michelle or, there's certain things,
Yes.
if you don't know how to use them, you can't get in trouble by using it.
Michelle knows,
So
and
Michelle
Carrie
and
knows.
Therese and Carrie,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of people that know how to use it though,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's great.
Don't buy
And
the
then you
CDs
have it, like I
again.
said, and then if anybody wants to go back and re-listen to it again, you have a copy
Who
of
wants to listen to it again?
it.
Yeah.
Trust me. There are a lot of people that don't want to listen to it over and over and over again.
Okay, so resolutions? Sure. Leave resolved to amend resolution number 246-215 to read as follows. So Jackie, I'm not going to read this whole resolution. I'm just going to read what I would like you to insert into it.
Okay.
Resolved to appropriate from the year 2015 general fund surplus, those are the exact words, year 2015 general fund surplus, the amount of $60,000 to fund such capital project. We never bothered to, I never bothered to identify where the money was coming from. And in the next, all in favor? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved to amend resolution 252-2015 to read as follows. And there again, when you go to the underlined part, add, resolve to transfer from revenue line number A05031.0 to the Nesco Hornbeck Community Center Capital Project number .074, the sum of $206,585.92.
Second.
On favor?
Aye.
That's it. Be it resolved to waive fees for use of the community center back room by family of Woodstock on February 20, March 12, April 16, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. for courses on youth mental health first aid and adult mental health first aid.
Second.
On favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved to waive fees for the use of the community center for a special presentation on the open meetings law. Guest speaker Robert Freeman, Executive Director of the New York State Committee on Open Government. Such presentation to be held on Wednesday, March 9, 2016, beginning at 7 p.m.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Be resolved to hire Tammy Lynn and Rougere as part-time employee for the Woodstock Emergency Dispatch Service at $19.61 per hour effective February 10, 2016.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Resolution was determined by the Water Sewer Superintendent that the Water 8 Sled Hill account number 608/665 did not enter into the wastewater collection system, but rather into the ground. Therefore, be it resolved to charge for sewer the average amount charged in the previous 4 quarters and subtract the remaining sewer charge from the water sewer bill. And be it further resolved to charge the full amount for the water usage.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Is that over?
Yes. Be it resolved to transfer from the Highway 2016 operating budget line item DA 9950.9 the sum of $110,000 to the Erie Hill Road Bridge Capital Project number 5031-.027. Second. In favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved to appoint Stephen Piddleman to the Board of Assessment Review, term to expire September 30, 2020. Second. In favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved the resolution titled Town of Woodstock, Ulster County, New York Resolution amending policy regarding cash payments in lieu of on-site provision of required off-street parking, adopted on or about August of 2001, shall be amended as follows. The references Section 2A and Section 2B.1 and Section B2 in the existing policy that read, Section VB3 of Local Law Number 2 of 1989, the zoning law of the Town of Woodstock, shall be deleted and now read Section 260-30C of the Woodstock Code. Indeed, further resolved, the supervisors shall revise the application forms to incorporate the above changes. And be it further resolved, this resolution shall take place immediately.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
You missed a D in Woodstock.
I'm sorry?
Oh, you actually corrected it online, Jeremy, but we have the old copy.
Yes, I have the new one. I printed myself a brand new one.
So this be it resolved, this, oh, okay, never mind. We have an old one here, in other words? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think Jeremy printed a fresh copy, but
I was just being a smart aleck.
Oh,
There's
okay.
a D missing in Woodstock.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But I put it back in. Actually, Laura thought
so
that.
see, Jeremy.
Laura spared me from the embarrassment. That's the Woodstock Code. Be it resolved to surplus the following items and be it further resolved to advertise items to invite sealed bids for them to be received by the Woodstock Town Clerk, 45 Como Drive, Woodstock, New York, 12498, no later than 4 p.m. March 8th, and such bids will be opened at the Town Board regularly scheduled meeting later that evening. The Town Board reserves the right to reject any or all bids. So there's the list. This is all sound equipment. Anybody interested in sound equipment?
Where's this from?
This is all from the community center. It's the old sound system.
Okay. Oh,
It's a couple PV speakers, it's a couple Mackie speakers, it's a PV stage monitor, it's a PV powered mixer code, it's four Mackie speakers, and one Mackie mixer board. And what I would say, because the model numbers are on this, you can Google all these, everybody, and see what they are. Now, yes, these are more than 10 years old, but as far as I know, anyway, it's all, you know, still in fairly decent shape.
Okay, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that all rate A street lights which fail shall be replaced by Central Hudson Gas and Electric Company with an this, you might not have the second part of this resolution. Be it resolved that all rate A street lights which fail shall be replaced by Central Hudson Gas and Electric Company with an LED equivalent fixture. And be it further resolved to authorize the supervisor to sign the LED street light maintenance agreement with Central Hudson Gas and Electric Company.
Second.
And just so everybody knows what that is, you want to inspect that, Jay? That's what it is. And it just means that when lights go out, they'll replace them with LEDs. But I needed all your permission to execute that.
did we get a second?
Yes.
Both of us.
All in favor?
Question?
Aye.
Question?
Yes,
When you're talking about replacing the sodium vapor lights, I take it, with LED lights, they're not going to be the same ugly hue. They're going to be wide spectrum.
well, you know, I'll tell you, it's a good question, because apparently there are options. You can get the super icy blue light that you see in some LEDs, or you can get like a softer light. We certainly don't want something as yellow as we've had, but I don't think that we necessarily want something as icy blue as sometimes, well, that you see on the headlight of an Audi, for instance.
Right.
You know, I don't think that
Those
one
can be
is particularly warm and attractive.
They do have what are called warm lights that I believe are also the most efficient. It
Yeah.
may be that those daylight ones are the most efficient, but the soft lights are very...
Well, here's the scoop. And I'm sorry, I failed to mention this, and I'm glad you brought this up. I had a request from a resident of Ratterman Road to look at that intersection at night. And the question on the table was, gee whiz, with all the increased traffic we have around here, shouldn't we have a street light at that intersection? There is a pole right across the street from the Ratterman Road dumps into Route 375. I contacted the company, which is what led to these resolutions, by the way, and they are willing to go out and put a fixture up there for us. So that's when I said, well, gee whiz, can it be an LED? And sure it can be an LED. And then I started to discuss options with them, just pursuant to this conversation that Randy and I just had. So this will be sort of our little testing board when we get that light up. We can all look at it and decide if it's, you know, too blue, too yellow, too this, too that. And anyway,
Do they have the?
they have gradations. Yes, they do have different gradations. If I understood them correctly, they do anyway. So
They even have one that simulates the light of the moon, which is, again, a very wide spectrum white, but it's not way over to the blue spectrum of the ones you're talking about that are kind of annoying. So
yeah, I remembered asking this, and I remember a long time ago when this whole LED thing, you brought up that point. So I was thinking of it.
Yeah, you want it definitely light enough though, because the whole idea of having a...
Well, it has the same lumens.
Right.
Yes,
This
we're
is the
swapping
same
lumen
thing.
for lumen. There's no question of that.
Right.
Yes, we can't have less lumens.
Right.
And in some cases, we might even want more. But anyway, you know, the other thing to think about is, and you might think about this as if you're driving through the roads, you know, the main drag at night. Because I can think of another intersection where we might think about putting up a street light, and that's the road, I believe is it Manor Drive, just before the Methodist church out here? That's sort of a blind. There's a lot of people who are looking for that road, you know, suddenly slam on their brakes and they see it because there's just nothing illuminating it. So, I mean, and there might be more. So I'll just suggest to everybody that, you know, take a look. Yes, it will cost us a little bit more for our lighting district, but
Well, it seems regular, you know, the existing luminaires, or are they going to be more boxed and shrouded?
my understanding is that, you know, there will be, so that the light is all cast down. That's my understanding.
That's the nature of LEDs. They tend to be directional in at least one direction.
Right.
But they can spread out so that you can do very accurate, unlike the sodium vapor luminaires. You can control where the light goes, so where one light stops, the other one can begin, and everything is illuminated much more.
Well, I'll tell you this, when we, as we replace, we are not going to have street lighting conforming to, I forget what the standard is. There is a standard for like how they should be spaced apart and this and that, and how many, what we're going to do is we're going to swap lumen for lumen. That's our approach to this. We're not going to try to meet the national standard for, street lighting, blah, blah, because first of all, Central Hudson will never build the poles for us. And it would just, we would sit here forever waiting for that to happen. So
I
it's
think you'll
just
find the
initially
light
gonna
will
be lumen for
distribute
lumen.
itself more just naturally through the conversion.
Right, right. So. Anybody got any more business?
Well,
Yes?
one question.
Mhm.
The first comprehensive plan meeting, did you communicate the date and time of that yet, or that's TBD?
That will be determined. I know one of our members is coming back on the 12th. So I'll put out an email to everybody.
Are you planning on doing that at night or during the day?
Oh, probably tonight.
Night,
Yeah.
okay. Here?
We'll figure it out. We'll
Okay,
figure out
just,
what-
yeah,
I'll
just,
ask the committee, what's the best night for you all?
and then if it's at the town hall or
Or the
the,
community center or here or whatever. Right.
well, this place is pretty much, unless you do it like every other Tuesday or something like that.
Yeah.
Mondays are,
Well, we have to borrow that machine, though, we have to make sure nobody else is using it, we have to get it, so.
Right.
That's the.
Mondays actually are a good night, if you guys are good
Right.
for Mondays, because the meeting
Depends on
is
which
over at
Monday.
6.
Depends on which Monday, because ethics.
Well, if you have to do all this work and be ready by September 1st, I think it's gonna be
No,
like every
I-
Monday between now and
I have ethics board on Mondays, is ethics board.
They meet every week?
No, once a month.
Oh, once a month.
We
Yeah.
just have to make sure.
Oh,
it's not-
which week do they meet?
Yeah, but you guys meet 4
It's not
o'clock,
con-
so you can just go from one meeting
Oh,
to
sure,
the
yeah,
next,
then-
right? If
yeah.
perfect thing would be to go right to 6, right?
You can bring your lunch
Oh,
in.
then your whole
Your
night will
dinner.
be meetings. Just like 12 steps.
It's not an exact, Laura.
I say it
To
changes.
answer your question.
Well, you know what, let's get used to one thing. We're probably not going to find a night that's going to work perfectly for everybody, every meeting. So maybe one of us is going to miss a meeting. And I include myself in that, So, we'll do our best, but let's not shoot for perfect. Okay, shall we
I
adjourn?
wonder if you, the
Yes.
board would indulge me in going into an executive session to discuss personnel and possible appointment or
Sure, if you'd like to.
Fine with me.
Yes, it's fine.
All in favor? All right. Thank you, everybody.